Just when we thought the boys had enough to deal with regarding the Seven, Season 2 had to up the ante with the addition of the terrifying Stormfront. But is this hero more of a villain for Homelander than for the boys? I mean, yeah, Stormfront is proving to be perhaps the worst, most evil superhero we've seen on the Seven. But really the one who should be worried is Homelander. For the longest time, Homelander has been in charge, but the early episodes of The Boys Season 2 have shown Stormfront may be on the verge of usurping Homelander completely. Can that be done? And will it result in an epic knockdown brawl between the two of them? Let's get into it right now. Wow, Stormfront is really living up to her namesake so far in The Boys Season 2. The new superhero edition is causing massive storm clouds to brew over not only the boys, but also for the Seven, as it's clear that Stormfront is about to completely disrupt the status quo of the world's most famous superhero group. But what do we know about her? Right off the bat, she seemed like not one to get caught up in fakeness or for putting on a show for the press, which was shocking. Get it? Shocking, huh? Alright, I'll stop. And for those that don't know the character's comic origins, this may have been a refreshing change of pace. Was she going to become an ally for Starlight? Someone who Starlight could be honest with and confide in? If only. But underneath that sort of straightforward, no-nonsense charm, something sinister lurks beneath. And before I go much further, you should know that there will be some spoilers regarding Stormfront's comic origins and personality. So if you want to go in completely dark about her possible motivations, I suggest waiting a bit before watching this video. Still here? Good. If it wasn't clear by Stormfront's very specific targeting when hunting down Kamiko's brother and killing certain civilians, or Stormfront's derogatory phrase she used right before killing Kenji, then you're in for another shock. Stormfront is totally racist. Like, hardcore racist. Just look at one of her first comments to Homelander about his wonderful blue eyes and how excited that makes her to really understand the depths of her racism, if you catch my drift. But this isn't surprising to any comic fan. In the source material, Stormfront was a male child experiment during World War II. He grew up still believing those 1940s hardcore German beliefs, and that shaped him into the man he is today. Yeah, he's the worst. And when Stormfront was announced for Season 2, but with a gender-swapped twist, there were many fans left wondering how they would adapt this character. Well, for any of those who thought a gender switch was an attempt to soften the horribleness of the character for the show, and maybe make him a little less of a racist, think again. Stormfront, as portrayed in the show, is perhaps even more dangerous than her comic book counterpart. When she was announced as being a heavy social media influencer, I'm sure I wasn't the only one to roll their eyes, as it sounded a little corny. But after these first few episodes, it's clear how dangerous a racist with a large following on social media can be. She has thousands upon thousands of devoted fans that seem to hang on her every word, and now that her true intentions are out there, it's terrifying to see what she's going to do with all her power. And this is where the conflict with Homelander comes into play. Is Stormfront gunning for the top position in the Seven to push Homelander out? Yeah, I definitely think so. I don't think there's ever been a problem that Homelander couldn't punch or intimidate into submission. He's the strongest man on Earth and was specifically bred for that specific purpose. He knows how important he is, which makes him think he can get away or do anything he wants without any consequences. Just ask poor Blind Spot, who after hoping for a spot on the Seven, soon found his eardrums busted by a spiteful Homelander. These are not the actions of a man who thinks the rule apply to him, obviously. And he considers himself Vought's golden boy, their top money earner, and he truly believes Vought would be nothing without him. To his credit, he does his job well and has crafted a perfect persona for himself, making him the most popular superhero on Earth. So his strength and his position have always been his biggest pillars of support. But what happens when both of those are threatened simultaneously? That's where Stormfront comes in. It's clear that Stormfront doesn't fear Homelander's strength, and for good reason. She's proven to be just as much of a powerhouse herself. Most people would probably turn to goo if Homelander so much as flicked them a little too hard, but Stormfront's super strength, speed, and durability means she can't be pushed around. But Stormfront also knows how to keep Homelander on his toes. Just look at that first introduction scene again. The way she inserts herself into the Seven and completely dominates the conversation is because she's live streaming the entire thing to all her fans. This forces Homelander to save face and try to remain calm before flying off to go see Edgar. If only poor Blind Spot knew how to live stream, then maybe he could have stuck around for longer. But really, the whole social media thing does really cripple Homelander's abilities to talk and move. It seems like Stormfront has built up a reputation for being a straight shooter who speaks her mind no matter what, and that's why her fans and the public like her so much. Homelander, on the other hand, has worked hard to craft the persona of a perfect superhero. His fake backstory is about how he was an alien who was dropped in the middle of a cornfield and raised in Middle America, where he learned the values of truth, justice, and the American way, yada yada yada, all that stuff. And while that's worked up to this point, that leaves him in a vulnerable position with Stormfront. Now that the secret is out regarding the origin of superheroes on Earth, it's going to put Homelander on the offensive. He's going to now have to answer a lot of questions about his backstory, and no matter how convincing of a lie he can put on, there will always be those who will think it's too big of a coincidence, and Homelander is lying about his backstory. Stormfront can speak her mind all she wants, and the people will love her. Homelander has to stay in line and keep his image up, which will allow Stormfront to continue to take over. But you might be saying, surely Vought wouldn't let this happen, right? They need Homelander. But if you think that, then I think you might need to lay off the Compound V. In a great scene in the first episode of the season, Homelander went to Edgar and threatened to walk away if he didn't get what he wanted, like the giant man-baby he is. Homelander was mad that Stormfront was brought on the team without consulting him, but Edgar quickly put him in his place. Vought isn't a superhero company, it's a pharmaceutical company, and Homeland mostly ruined everything by revealing their secret formula to the world. You could tell this made Edgar and Vought pretty upset, so it's only understandable that they would try to push Homelander out and replace him with someone who believes in Vought's values. And when I say values, I mean original values. Frederick Vought founded the company, but he got his start developing Compound V in Germany during World War II. Once he saw that Germany was going to lose the war, he defected to America, and because he offered his Compound V formula to America, they let him go about his business. So if you found yourself asking, why would Vought intentionally place Stormfront, who's been very outspoken and refuses to fall in line with Vought's standard talking points, onto the Seven, it may be because Stormfront's secret racist past falls in line with what Vought believes in as well. Could she be Vought's first superhero? Could she be Vought's original daughter? Who knows? And since Homelander proved to be too dangerous and reckless, they now want Stormfront to take over. And this plan to push Homelander out of the picture has slowly taken shape over the early episodes of the season. Homelander specifically said he wanted Kenji brought to him so he could handle things. But Stormfront took matters into her own hands, by breaking Kenji's of course, and executed him herself. Now you could look at that scene as one of two things. You could say that Stormfront's racism just couldn't be contained, and although she initially meant to follow orders, she couldn't help but kill Kamiko's brother. But come on, that doesn't sound that feasible. The second option is that she killed Kenji herself for the good press surrounding it. We saw at the end of the episode Stormfront give a press conference that painted her as a heroic patriot who saved America from the super terrorist. And she specifically said super terrorist over super villain, which probably was just an attempt to get under Homelander's skin that totally worked. This could be a secret team-up between Vought and Stormfront to install her as the new head of the Seven. But of course, there's one problem to this. I think Vought and Stormfront are vastly underestimating Homelander and what he's capable of when the walls are crashing down around him. Sure, he spends his time drinking frozen baby milk, but that doesn't mean he's not a scary threat. If Vought and Stormfront really do have a plan to replace Homelander in the Seven permanently with Stormfront, then they better have a good solution to eliminate Homelander once and for all, because this is not something he's going to just accept. Maybe Vought does have a plan to control Homelander, or maybe Starlight revealing the origins of superheroes with Compound V could actually be turned into a positive here. Remember, I mentioned Homelander's fake backstory about being an alien? Now that's probably going to be called into question. Vought will have the choice to either defend Homelander or rat him out. Maybe if Homelander agrees to step aside quietly, they'll keep the secret and his image will remain intact. If he causes a fuss or tries to fight Stormfront, there'll be trouble for everyone. Now, the reasonable thing would be to step aside, but again, when has Homelander ever been reasonable? He's going to flip out, and it's going to lead to what we all want, a Stormfront versus Homelander fight. Homelander may have deadly laser vision, but Stormfront controls lightning, and if the fight took place in the air, which, why wouldn't it, then I could see Stormfront deflecting Homelander's laser eyes with her own lightning blasts while continuously striking Homelander with lightning. Is it enough to fully overpower Homelander and win? Maybe, maybe not. But even if Stormfront isn't physically strong enough to beat Homelander, if she draws him into an actual public fight, then she's already won. She's proved that Homelander isn't the hero he pretends to be, and that will be revealed to the whole world. No matter what happens, Stormfront's presence isn't good for anyone. But above all else, Homelander needs to be careful and open his eyes a bit more to what's happening around him. or else he's gonna lose everything. Not that I necessarily care because he's a monster who needs to be stopped, but if Homelander hits rock bottom, then there's no telling how many innocent people will be hurt along the way. And that's what makes this rivalry so interesting. Both sides are truly despicable, and you kind of want them both to lose because they're horrible, but also want to see one triumph over the other. Ah man, who do I want to win? My head is starting to hurt more than Susan Raynor's and Popclaw's creepy landlord combined. I should stop now. Do you think Stormfront could take Homelander in a fight? Let us know in the comments below who you think would win if the two traded blows, and while you're there, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for more awesome The Boys content like this. Thanks for watching Screenrant. See you next time.